Today's a pretty big topic. We had some requests previously to deal with iCloud, and iCloud's such a big topic that it really needs to be broken down into chunks. iCloud as a word encapsulates so many things. And iCloud is really a collection of services. It's not a single thing. So all your messages in iMessage go through the cloud. Um, the ability for your photos to be managed with iCloud, so that if you take a picture on your phone, it automatically appears on your Mac. If you want to share a folder of photos, that goes through iCloud. The ability to have calendars that work both on your Mac, on your iPad, or accessible through a web browser. Your reminders, your Safari bookmarks, passwords, the tabs. I don't know whether you know this, but if you have got Safari iCloud turned on, if you have a bunch of tabs open on your iPad and you go to your Mac, you can see which tabs are open on your iPad and you can view them. But today, what we're going to concentrate is on document and folder sharing and collaboration. So we're going to be starting off inside the iPad in the Files app, and then we're going to look at folder collaboration and document collaboration, and then we'll move over to the Mac. So in the beginning, before there was a heaven and earth, on the iPad, there was no Finder equivalent. Apple, in their wisdom, and in their desire to make the iPad so much easier to use than a traditional computer, made the decision that if you created a document, it would live inside the program that created it. So for example, if you had a Pages application and you created Pages documents, they lived inside Pages. And that's one of the big areas of confusion that most people get when they start to use a computer. It's all fine when you start working in applications, but then you work on it for a few days, excuse me, and then you go into Word, you go File, Open, and inside the directory, there's Excel documents, there's Word documents, there's PowerPoint documents, there's PDFs. And Apple went, well, if you're inside Pages, you probably just want to open up Pages documents, so let's just make it work like that. But then things started getting a little bit more complicated because you have people might want to create folders which would have different types of documents, and you might want to organize projects by project rather than by document. So they introduced the Files app, and I want to spend a little bit of time going through the Files app. Some of you who were here yesterday would have seen me opening up multiple windows. So allow me to share my screen. Okay, so here's my iPad on your screen. And in the middle in the dock, I've got the Files app. So I'm going to tap to open it. And this is our opening view on, on Files. If you look on the left-hand side under Browse, you can see a variety of locations. If I tap on Icloud Drive, you'll see on the right-hand side the top level of my Icloud Drive. But we can access more than just our iCloud Drive from the Files app. Because the iPad was born in the era of the internet, it makes sense for you to be able to use iCloud, rather the Files app, as a picker and a consistent interface for all of your services. So if I tap on Google Drive, for example, here's my Google Drive. All the contents and files in my Google Drive appear here. If I tap on OneDrive, if I'm logged in properly, yep, there's my files in OneDrive. If I tap on Box, this is a service that I've logged out of. It'll prompt me to log in with my credentials. I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to waste too much time. So what if I've got other services that I want to add to the Files app? Well, just at the top on the left-hand side, you can see that circle with an ellipsis in by the browse, by the text browse. And if I tap on that, one of the things I can do is edit. And if you have a look on the left-hand side now, all of the document types, or all the application types, and all the services that I've got installed on my iPad appear. And you can see over there, I've got Dropbox, but it's not appearing in my list. So if I tap on the button next to Dropbox and I tap Done, you can see Dropbox is now added to my list. And it shouldn't ask me to sign in because I'd signed in earlier this morning. Here is my entire Dropbox. So I can access files from Icloud Drive. I can access files on my iPad. And one of the reasons that's there is I don't know, this is something that you've come across, but if you're using iCloud to synchronize your files between your different devices, sometimes you might go somewhere and you've got a presentation and you start you launch your presentation and you try open your drive and you realize that it's in the cloud and it hasn't come down off the cloud, and you now have to make a hotspot or get access to the internet to download your files. So we can guarantee that files stay on your iPad by putting them into your iPad on the left hand side. So let's go up to the iCloud Drive and have a look at a bit of the structure of the iCloud Drive. Actually, before we do that, let's just go to downloads. For example, on the left-hand side, we have some favorites here. Here in my downloads, I've got a number of files, and I can view them in a variety of different ways. I can view them by icon. I can view them by list. And when they're in list view, I can sort them by date. I can sort them by size. I can sort them by kind. I can sort them by tags. And I also have the column view, which you may be familiar with from your Mac. So if I go to, let's say, let's tap on Apple, you can see the next column clears. I go to ADS content and so on. I can move up and down my hierarchy this way. I can mark things as favorites as well and have them appear. So I've got quick access to some files. And these favorites can be anywhere. So if I go to Dropbox, for example, and I decide that I want this Apple folder that you see there to be a favorite, I can press and hold on it, and I get a contextual menu that pops up. And if you can see halfway down that menu is favorite. If I tap on favorite, you'll see it appears on my left-hand side. So if I tap on Apple now, that will show me the contents of the Apple folder on Dropbox. If I tap on Digicape iCloud, this is my contents of my Digicape folder in iCloud. If I go to edit one more time, I can rearrange these things. So if I want to sort of alphabeticize these, I can drag that down, I can drag that up, and so on. So all my resources on the left-hand side, my locations, any favorites that I've created. I can also log on to servers. So if I tap this button one more time and I tap connect to server, I can, if I know the address of the server, I can add that server to the left-hand side, and the server can be on the internet. It can be in my local, if I've got a file server in the place where I'm working, or even at home, I can tap on them. And if I tap on 26 here, for example, this is my Macintosh that's sitting just here to me on my left, but it's got a little file server running. So if I tap on Macintosh HD, on the right-hand side, you can see loading. It might take some time. I don't know why. But be that as it may, I can log on to servers. And then I can also tag items. So if I tap on tags, if I tap to read, let's just view this by icon over here. You'll see there's a document that I've tagged to read. I'm going to go back to my documents folder, my downloads folder. And over here, you can see an icon called Support Essentials. Now, if I press and hold on this one, I can get a little bit more info on it. If I tap the info button, this tells me, well, firstly, I can open it. It tells me it's a PDF. It tells me how big it is. And that's one of the challenges we had in the past. How do we tell how big a file is? If I go down to the bottom, I can add a tag. This will bring up my tags. If I tap to read and done, if I go back to my to read tags, you'll see that that icon is now inside there. I don't use tags all that much, but sometimes it's a useful little tool if you've got urgent, if you've got stuff to read. It's a nice way of organizing your files so that you can find them quickly. Okay, so that in a nutshell is your navigation. You've got your locations on the left-hand side, you can favorite things, you've got servers, and you've got tags. And everything on the right-hand side, you can access, you can launch, you can copy. At the bottom, you can see I've got browse. If I tap on recents, these will show me all the documents that I've accessed recently. So you can see there's a Google document over there. There's another document from an application called Graphio. There's a couple of numbers documents. There's that book that I just showed you. And any documents that I have shared with other people also appear there, and then I've got my tags. So recents is a nice little shortcut version, whereas browse allows me to navigate my way through the entire hierarchy of all my services out there. Right, so what I want to do now is show you how this integrates into your applications. So let me go to Pages, and let me just open up a recent document over here. So I've been working in a document, I come back into Pages, and I've got a document over there. So now I want to find another document. I want to move this or save it somewhere. In the top left-hand corner, I tap Documents. And by default, it shows me my recent documents. And this looks very similar to the recents that you've just had a look in the Files app, only this just shows me the recents that are inside Pages. So there's all the recent documents I've opened in Pages. There's all the shared documents. And here are all the tagged documents, which are Pages documents only. But at the bottom of the window, I also have a Browse button. And look what happens when I press that. Firstly, it shows me the location where I last was. So I'm in the Downloads folder. But I can navigate anywhere to the hard drive, right? Google Drive, or I can go to one of my favorites. And one of the big differences between this and the Files app is at the top of the list, do you see just above B2B streaming and planning, there's a Create Document. If I tap Create Document, because I'm in Pages, and have a look at the top of the list on the left-hand side, above iCloud Drive locations, it tells me I'm in Pages. Also, the color of the icons, Pages has this orange tint to it. So there's a little visual cue over here that I'm inside Pages. If I tap plus, it will create a document inside this folder in Pages. So let's go down to Workshop Activity. I'm going to open that one up, tap Create Document, and it brings up my Pages templates. And let me open up a document over here. And now I'm inside Pages. I can create a document. Excuse me. I can edit something over here. My new document. And because this is a placeholder, I can replace this with an image from my photo library. Let's take sunrise over Cape Town. It's always a nice look. Now, if I go back to Documents, you'll see that document is inside Streaming and Quickcast Content, but I'm still inside Pages. Now, look what happens if I go down to iCloud Drive and I tap Streaming and Quickcast Content. I go to the Files app and go into Workshop Activity, there's my document. So everything is completely integrated. It's like I've got a Finder, but in order to make life, it's almost like when you're inside that window in Pages, let's go back to Pages, that it's almost like a save dialog box, but with the addition that you can actually create documents as well as making folders over here. So that's the way that the Files app integrates into Pages. And frankly, if I wanted to, so we're still in Pages over here. If I wanted to create that new document maybe in Dropbox, I could go to Dropbox. Let's say I went into Alan over here. I can create a new document inside Dropbox. If I've got a Dropbox folder that I'm sharing with somebody and I want to make a document and not have to worry about going into that file and dragging it into Dropbox, I can create this document straight inside Dropbox, and that document will be saved inside there. Does that make sense? Cool. So one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to get a little bit dangerous over here. I'm going to go into Numbers, and I'm going to make a new document, and I'm going to firstly share it with Louise, but then I'm actually going to share it with other people as well. So let's make a new Numbers document. Let's make a simple budget. Now, one of the things that I can do with these documents is I can share from inside Numbers. So in the top right-hand corner, you see the little person with a plus sign. I'm going to tap the plus, and I want to make this document possible for Louise to share this document with me. So I'm going to tap Share Options first, so you can see what you can do. So here, I can share this with only people I invite. So I need to have their email address. That email address needs to be an Apple ID. Or if I just want it to be open, I can say anyone with a link. Because it's anyone with a link, I can make it view only, make changes, and if I want an element of security, I can add a password to this document as well. But I'm going to bypass that at the moment. I'm just going to say anyone with a link. And now I could send this as a message to Louise. I could mail it. I could send it in Slack. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to test something over here. So it's starting collaboration inside this document. Now what this is doing is it's taking the document and it's uploading it to the cloud. It's making sure it's inside the cloud. Okay, so you see the little person icon that had the plus button next to it now has a little a checkbox next to it to indicate that this is shared. So let's see if this works properly. I'm going to go into participants, chat. I don't see the chat. So I'm going to go back and send this link one more time, but I'm going to send it to Louise inside Slack. Okay, Louise? There's Louise. Post that. Now, this is going to be sent off to Louise. We use an application called Slack, which is a messaging sharing system. And I'm going to start editing some of this content. So I'm going to say, okay, this was 3,000. And if I tap over here, I should see Louise appear when she is capable of joining this this session. I'm not quite sure how long I should wait. Let me just unmute Louise. Are you in there, girl? Okay, well, I'm going to move away from this. Oh, there we go. Louise has come in. So now if Louise, you can see Louise's name has appeared over there and her color is blue. So if she taps on something and starts to edit this, now I'm not doing anything right now. Louise is editing this document. So the two of us are working on the same document simultaneously. So this is one way I can share a document within iCloud. I can go into the document explicitly and I can share that document with other people. But there's another way. Let's say I'm working on a project with a bunch of people and I want every document that's inside there to be shareable, to be collaborative. So I'm going to go back to my Files app and I'm going to go streaming and quickcast content. And inside here, I've got this folder called workshop activity. And just like you saw earlier, I'm going to press and hold on that folder. And you see one of the options we've got is share. So if I tap on share, I get, as you saw previously, the same icon, I can add people. So if I tap add people, once again, I have exactly the same share options. I'm going to make this one anyone with a link. And I'm going to, once again, copy that link. And now, do you see where it said, let's just go and share that with Gaynor. I'm going to add you because I see you've joined us. So I'm going to share this with Gaynor. Okay, I'm going to post that. And those of you who are eagle-eyed will have noticed that the icon on workshop activity has changed from a blank icon to one that's got a little two people on there, which means that these people are now able to, this document is now, this folder is now a shared folder. This is taking some time to go. Let's see if I move off and back. How's our budget going, Louise? Okay, so Slack couldn't upload that file. Interesting. But it does still appear to be shared. So now this is what's quite interesting about this one is
and I did make changes live.
Yeah, no, yours did, but the folder that I was working on didn't share. So now I'm going to go inside workshop activity. And this document that I created beforehand, because it's in a shared folder, if I open that up, It's updating the document. And what we should see, in fact, while it's updating, can you see in the top right-hand corner, instead of a plus button that's asking me to share with people, it's inherited the sharing permissions from that folder. So if I tap in there, you can see this is a shared folder, who owns it, and I can share this with more people as well. If I go back out and create another document inside there, let's just go back to that activity. Let's make another document. Let's use a completely different folder. Let's take this one. Have a look in the top right-hand corner. Can you see the activity circle that's going around the share button? Because this document is inside a folder that is being designated as a share folder, it's automatically turning on collaboration. So I could have a folder which was a projects folder, and inside there I could have another folder which was for collaborative purposes. If I shared that folder, any document I put inside there would be automatically shared. If I took it out of there, the collaboration would stop. So really, that's how we manage it inside iPad. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'm going to move over to the Mac so that you can see how this works on the Mac. So let's share my Mac screen. Just one. Okay, so let's make a new window. And here on the left-hand side, we've got my Icloud Drive. So let me go into my Icloud Drive, and everything that you saw in the Files app in Icloud Drive is there. So I've already made a shortcut to it. So I'm going to go to streaming and quickcast content. There's the workshop activity that I created, and there's the 2 documents that I've created. So they're on all my devices. And anyone I've shared this folder with, it's on their devices as well. Now, one of the things that's nice about in the Finder is I'm sure most of you are familiar with the fact that I can take a folder and put it into the sidebar for quick access. But what you may not know is if it's an iCloud folder, you've got a separate section where you can actually add those. So you can separate your iCloud folders from your traditional folders that are on your hard drive. So how do I share something on the Mac? Well, you'd be surprised to see it's practically the same as on the iPad. If I right-click on this folder, Word Processing Basics, from the Share button, I've got Add People. And if I click on Add People, I have very similar choices. I can share it only with people I invite or anyone with the link. And those people can make changes or view only. And if it was a document, I could password protect it as well. So now I've got this over here. I can say, okay, well, I want to share this with mail, with messages, or I could copy the link and send it via WhatsApp. I could send it via AirDrop. I could paste it into a shared Evernote document. I could put it into OneNote. I could add it to my calendar as a link to an invitation that I sent to people. But in this case, I'm just going to copy the link, click share, and it's going to go through the process of sharing the document. And let's just view by icon level. You can see, just like in the Files app, once I've shared this document, it gets 3 people, not 2 people on the Mac, probably because, I don't know, because reasons. So that's creating collaborative documents. I hope I've given you quite a nice overview of using the Files app. Making collaborative documents, sharing them with people, and then sharing folders that automate the process of collaborating docs with people. I'm going to stop the screen sharing now and open this up to questions. I've gone over my time by about 5 minutes. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask about file sharing and iCloud as it pertains to document and file sharing? How many of you use Dropbox? Okay, so maybe about 25% of you. Do you use the free version or do you use a paid version? Paid. Yeah. So here is now another cloud-based service. You know, one of the limitations we had with iCloud back in the day was it was only, you could only share files. You could never share folders. With Mac OS 15.4, which came out about 6 weeks ago, and iPad OS 13.4, also about 6 weeks ago, they've added folder sharing, and it's a wonderful thing, and it makes it very easy to collaborate with people.
Could I just ask about your iCloud storage? You know,
Yes.
a lot of us have to purchase extra storage because is this also the same part of the iCloud that stores your backups for the various devices? Be that
yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. Yes, your storage is all pooled together. So, you know, if you're storing your photos and the like on there, at a certain point, the 5 gigabytes of free storage gets eaten up pretty quickly. So, you know, in my personal capacity, I have a 200 gigabyte storage plan, and I use that. And I'm on about 180 gigabytes worth of storage. The one thing that is different from iCloud from most of the other services that I know of is that anything that you put into your iCloud folders, any documents you put inside there, will count against your storage. However, if somebody shares a file with you, it doesn't count against your storage. Okay. Does that answer your question, Jan?
Yes, I think so. It's just that I think the backup of one's devices also takes a fair amount of space on your storage.
It can do, yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're using your the cloud to back up your iPad and your iPhone. Yeah, it would be very nice if Apple increased the storage size, but at the moment it's not.
No, I think 5 gigabytes is very little. I mean, I use Dropbox with just 5 gigabytes. That's a free version, but that's because I use iCloud and I use Google Drive.
Yeah. How many of you do work on collaborative documents? You know, we share spreadsheets where we've got faux databases, if you like. We've got different teams putting their content on. You know, back in the day, we used to have to send a file to somebody else, email everybody else, and then you had naming conventions that you have to follow, and somebody forgot to carbon copy everybody. Now, with one document that people are editing and the ability to roll it back if somebody's made a mistake is a real boon to productivity if you're working in teams with people. In the classrooms, we often do things like Keynote, where you'll set a task for the kids and you'll divide them into teams, and each team will get a different part of the project, and they'll have their own slide in the presentation that they'll deal with to work collaboratively. And we do that as well when we're preparing presentations, when we work with Apple, or if we have to do a presentation together. Rather than sending the same file round and round and round, we just open up a collaborative document, we edit our bits, we're good to go. A nice way of working, I think. If you don't know it's there, you'll never use it. Okay, no more questions in the sidebar.
Thank you very much.
Well, once again, thank you, everybody. The mail for the next 2 weeks worth of sessions, it popped into my inbox about half an hour ago. For those of you who are asking for things like Keynote, I think you'll be very happy. We've got iMovie coming up, we've got photos coming up, we've got some really nice sessions planned. And then, of course, there's July, where we intend to keep carrying on the way we've been going. So thanks all, and Michael, I'll stick around for you after this session.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Alan. Thank you.